Hey YouTube, this is Derek with Derek Burks from Sharpening Services. Today we're going to restore a draw knife, and I'll show you how that's done, what it looks like when it's done, some safety stuff. So I think you're really going to enjoy this restore, and hope you learn something. So I've been doing some tool restores. I really love doing chisels, axes and hatchets are probably my favorite. And I was digging around in my shop now that I'm getting set up to do knife making again. And I found this old drawer cabinet thing, and I found these old draw knives in it. And so I'm not sure if they're my dad's or we belong to a friend of ours, but either way, I'm going to make them new again. So, they got the really deep rust pitting. It's covered in probably sap, really deep scratches. It looks kind of crudely homemade, and so what it's going to wind up looking like in the end is this, where you've got your nice satin finish on there, and you're just a nice flat grind. And again, these need to be sharp, especially when you're going through green wood. So just like a regular knife, it really shouldn't hesitate to go through paper like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do like a leather sheath. A leather cover with maybe like 2 buttons, maybe one on each end, and just to keep it safe. And I do cardboard cases with just duct tape and cardboard for anything I get that's like this, that I have to mail back or even just hand it to somebody else. It at the minimum has cardboard. So I'm going to show you some of my safety stuff that I use. So my shop is mostly a Harbor Freight shop right now because I've been in between jobs, and I'm just using stuff I'm either borrowing or can afford with knife sharpening money. So of course, safety glasses, you all know that. Hearing protection, never go without those. Respirator, also from Harbor Freight. So that's a handy thing to have. I'll show you my machinery I'm going to be using. So this is just your $50 1x30-inch sander with lots of belts. And it's I took the guard off the side simply because I flip through the grits. I go all the way from 50 to 120, 200, 400, 600, 800, 1000, 1200, 3000 when I mirror polish a knife. So it's just necessary for me to take that off the side. And then the last thing that we'll use over here, also this is another Harbor Freight tool that I've been using for 2 years now, no problems with, only $30, is this dual side buffing wheel, and I have the coarse black polish and the green polish on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and set up the camera over there. And this is my really sweet, awesome Harbor Freight camera holder too that I got. So this will be an angle that you'll be seeing some action from for a little bit. We're going to make some sparks fly on this guy here. So the first thing you want to keep in mind with these is they're a chisel grind. That means that the back of this is flat. And then the bevel is actually on the front here. This one looks convex, so that'll be pretty cool. If it's not, it's gonna be. So, I mean, for here, you always want to remember the belt direction is going down. So you're gonna want to, of course, match that. And you never want to put the cutting edge into one of these belts. This is a Scotch-brite belt here, but I'm not going to start there. I'm probably just going to start with the angry sandpaper and then work my way up to 120 from there. I have Blaze Hogger belts that I use for my knife making, and then the Blaze 120 ceramic at 200. But what I'll do is the 220, I'll use the 40 grit Blaze, which is the angry sandpaper, and the 120. Because these are ceramic, they'll cut through tool steel for breakfast. They're super hard. Not carbide. Tried that, didn't work. But we'll go through tool steel, really easy. And then I'll use my 3M Scotch-brite belt right here. This is a coarse Scotch-brite belt, and it gave it the nice finish the other one had. And it will give it any tool. I always finish with these, and then the green chrome, and it gives it a shaving edge in seconds. It is the fastest, best way for any tool. Machetes, hatchets that are going to get dull, you name it. Totally recommend these guys from True Grit. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'll throw on the belt, and here we go. So for the purposes of this video only, I won't be wearing the respirator so that I can talk to you. And steel dust is heavier, especially at the larger grits, so I'm not super worried about just doing one knife out of it. But anyway, caution, ear cancer may be approaching. Alright, so, you got some deep scratches in there from the 40 grit, and I can tell that my camera is not in the best spot for this, so I'll go ahead and move that so I can work and you guys can watch. Alright, so here we have the back side of this, and there's still some deep kind of marks in there that I don't know if that looks like it might be like a weld line or something. It shouldn't still be there. So because it's even and it's down the length of the whole thing, I'm just going to say it's going to have a nice rustic look because I'm not mirror finishing this. So I did have to wind up going this way because I couldn't get it. It's just really hard. It's really hard for me to go downward the correct way, so I have to hit it at the edge really hard with the Scotch-brite, because the regular sandpaper you can go the right way just like a sharpening stone, so you can do that, But the Scotch-brite you absolutely can't, because it's like a strop. It's going to wrap around it because it's a deburring belt. That's what it's for. So that side's pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this front bevel here. So for this convex side, what's going to happen, I'm going to go ahead and relocate the Mr. Camera so you guys can see this. So this belt right here, if I can see it, is going to start wrapping around, and this is going to be a convex bevel. So you can see all these bench grinder amateurs and their bench grinders. Bench grinders aren't for sharpening, guys. And I'll go ahead and fire it up and get that moving along. So I went for a little bit and I took off, this is the back, the sort of the spine, and then the relief grind, I guess you could say. So I still haven't done the primary grind, so go ahead and get started on that. I want to make this interesting for you guys, but I don't have a stand for my camera. So if I hold this with one hand and grind it with the other, you'll be able to see more stuff, but it would be very unsafe. So I would not ever do that. Alright, I literally had to stop and show you just how... Why? What? Why would you do this? No! You... Quit sharpening stuff with bench grinders! Here's a sander. Grr. Alright, but there's the regular bevel. It's shaped. I'm going to finish removing that nonsense. And then I'll switch to the less angry sandpaper. The 120 Blaze. Alright gang, so after getting rid of those deep scratches with the 40 grit sandpaper, here's your draw knife. What do you think? Yeah, it's pretty nice. Oh, there it is. I'm just kidding, there's some left. Alright, so I got rid of those. And now you have really, really, really uniform, not okay, deep, angry scratches. And then we'll get those out with the 120. So here we go. Just to see the grit comparison. This is already really not okay, super coarse, but this was the 40 grit. So now we'll go to the still entirely too coarse to ever be useful grit. I'm just kidding. I love these 120 grits. These are really super nice for getting rid of your 80 grit scratches and stuff. And they're pretty sweet. Alright, so now we have some uniform 120 grits. So this is, I mean, you can get 120 at Harbor Freight if you want to go for the all Harbor Freight build. You know, for a tool, most people are going to be happy with that. It's hard to see in the camera, I know. Phone cameras are the worst at edge stuff and lighting, and that's literally all I ever do with them. But I'm going to move on to the Scotch-brite to show you that. These are usually a pain to get on. Oh look, it worked. Get a nice round spine going on. Alright, so here's our draw knife after the Scotch-brite. And you can see that there are some, I mean, there's still obviously some scratches, but there's just sort of like brushed satin look to this thing now. And it's pretty nice for, you know, a tool that's going to be used. So next thing we're going to do is the buffing wheel. So the buffing wheel, you got to be careful because any edge on this at all, it's going to grab it and it's just going to pull it down. Obviously, you know, anytime that you just always want to go downward. So for this back edge, it's going to be going along the back here. I'm not going to do it this way, going this way, because it's going to grab that edge and going to pull this sharp blade down. So anytime that you can basically strop your surface is going to be smarter. So I have black polish on this side and green on this side. The green is so fine. I think it's 0.5 micron green chrome. It'll go inside the scratches and make them shiny, but it's not really coarse enough to get rid of anything coarser than, like, well, my 3000 grit ceramic belt, it seems to get those out. So, I mean, on brass, yeah, you can get rid of, like this, you can get rid of this on brass with green chrome. That'll go away. But with steel, it's too hard. So I got a coarser polish, and it's still not going to mirror polish something this coarse, but, you know, again, if you're going off of like 1000 grit sandpaper or something, it'll get rid of those. And it's a really good precursor to the green chrome. This has a bow in it, and I think that's just because the log is round. That might allow the edge to grab more material right in the middle, if I were to guess. So I'm going to go ahead and do some buffing on this edge. Alright, so the buffer's pretty quiet, so I'm not going to wear any hearing protection. So when you're buffing an edge, you want to be careful that you don't steepen the angle. So right here on this buffing wheel, if you can see that, basically it's going to conform a lot to it. So the center of the wheel is going to be somewhere, you know, in the middle of the grind. Because if you put the center of the wheel right at the bottom, it's just going to wrap around, it's just going to dull it. So we'll go ahead and try that on. The Harbor Freight black polish, $5. Feel it this way to see if it's burred up, so there's still burr. Alright, so I did bring it down just a little bit on the edge from like here to there. Just well, if you can see that, like from here to there. Just a slight difference in where the biggest part of the wheel was. And then obviously you have to go across the back to straighten that edge out. And then I do very light passes. I do like one on each side of the much lighter passes like that. So, you know, the edge that you have isn't going to get forcibly rolled over. And then usually, and if this doesn't work, I'll just do it again. You can just get some pretty nice paper slices. So now we have removed the rust from the draw knife, and yeah, for this video with how long it is and everything, that's all I'm gonna do for now off of that one. So there's a couple of sanding steps and some buffing tips to get a nice edge and a decent look on your tools. You know, just how picky you want to be with the details and everything is up to you, but I really enjoy doing this. It makes me feel good to have it look nice again and to have it be cutting. So next I'm going to make a sheath cover for this, and I'll probably turn that into a video. Thanks for watching.